Do you think African Americans are not given the same respect by others because they haven't produced enough scholars? And if so, what will it take to gain respect?
Well, that question to me, as I think about it now, you know, I don't know. There's an argument that we need to produce scholarship in Black America, Islamic scholarship, authentic Muslim scholarship in Black America. And I agree with them. I agree with them. At the same time, most of the ones, when I hear that and when I see it, I see Arabs. I don't see Black people. So if you're telling me that that's what we need, then I disagree, because there were Sunni Muslims around during the same days as the Nation of Islam. We have to give them that credit. And a lot of the ones who didn't come through the Nation of Islam today, they want to kind of highlight that history. And we have to acknowledge that history. We have to always try to be fair, at least try. But we have to also be fair and let's admit that they didn't make really any impact upon Black America, because they just didn't. And I think that no matter how you slice it, we had sheikhs, we had different groups, we had people study and come back, but that knowledge didn't really serve our needs. And I think that today, a lot of, not all of, a lot of the Black Sunni currents are fading back into non-importance, like those groups before the nation, or that were contemporaneous with the Nation of Islam. They don't have the, you have to have, this shirt is a nice shirt. You got nice stitching in it, good cotton, but it's like 30 degrees outside. So if I go outside in this shirt, no matter how well it's put together, it's not designed for that environment. I at least have to put on a flannel or something else to go along with this shirt, to make this shirt to buffer up its efficacy in this environment. I think the same line of reasoning has to be considered when we talk about scholarship. I remember, I had studied under Imam Muhammad first for several years, and he would just Quran commentary. He'd be talking about issues in Islam. So when I went to, for example, I went to Medina Institute, and what Sheikh Ninawi did, he compressed like a 4-year program in 1 year. That's why he made this intensive. I don't know if he's the first one, but he formed it after one of the descendants of Ali, who used to buy slaves, teach them for a year, and then liberate them. So he patterned his program. So we studied like the Tahawi, we studied Def Shuba, we studied Fiqhul Akbar, and we got all the way up to like the Sanusi. And then we did the book by Imam Pasha, between the differences between the Maturidis and the Ash'aris, etc. Did a lot. We did about 5 or 6 texts just in Aqidah. We did logic, and it was like every day. And we're having, the Sheikh is doing his commentary on these books, so on and so forth. We did, obviously, Nukhbatul Fiqh, those introductory hadith books. And then he was giving us a lot of his personal, like his commentary on the 73 sects. But it was really, the biography. We were looking at the biographies. We were looking at, we did Kitab al-Ilal of Imam at-Tirmidhi. We did Muslims, Muqaddimah. We did a lot of books because our year was unique. A lot of teachers couldn't make it. So Sheikh Ninawi did a lot in Suhail Lahar, and then another couple of people. We did his Usul al-Bid'ah. We did, Usul al-Fiqh. We did all kind of stuff, right? And we did all of the schools. Ash'ari, we didn't do the Athari school. We did do some books by Ibn Taymiyyah, but it was like on his Quran tafsir methodology. But we did Ash'ari, Maturidi, Aqidah. We did Shafi'i and Hanafi fiqh, Shafi'i and Hanafi usul, starting with Usulu Shashi, and then the other one, the Waraqat. We start there, but then they were expounding upon these texts. And I'm sitting there this whole time. As a Muslim, I'm loving it. I'm saying, man, this is nice. And I'm sitting there saying, but I can't, at the same time, we had our We Buy Black stands in the mall, South DeKalb Mall, which is a hood mall. Anybody in Atlanta know that's a South DeKalb is hood, and the other one on oh, I can't think of it. It's on the other side. Greenbrier. These are hood malls. The first day, my friend set up the stand, the We Buy Black, selling product, black owned products in the Greenbrier Mall. That same day, someone got shot. The guy was trying to rob this other guy. The guy that was getting robbed shot him. Because, you can openly carry in Georgia. I'm in South DeKalb, so I would go to classes, go to my stand in the evening, and I'm watching people getting robbed. It's a hood mall. And I could, like it was a good time because I'm like, what I'm learning has nothing to do. I shouldn't say it has nothing to do, but that's not how I'm going to reach these people. These people are on a whole nother page. The messaging and the means by which we attract them to Islam and hold them to Islam, I'm not getting it. Even though the Islamic studies is beautiful in and of itself, it has very little application to these. These people are robbing, killing, pimping. They're doing everything, selling drugs. It was this girl used to come, I got that gas. They were doing everything you can think of in the mall. Having their way with each other's bodies in the mall. This is what they do. So it really brought home to me simply this notion that scholarship as study and transmission of knowledge, in-depth study and transmission of knowledge obviously isn't enough. That wasn't the first time I came to that conclusion because I grew up, my parents were in the Nation of Islam. They made the transition under Imam Muhammad, and I'm in a community of people. I'm seeing what really works. And what really works is first recognizing the problem. A good doctor has to figure out by way of the symptoms what the ailment is before he administers his medicine or he administers whatever treatment. Most of our people are suffering from the fact that they've never been loved. They've never been loved by their mother, let alone by their father. They've never met their father. They've lived with a sense of fear. They've never lived with a sense of stability. They've had unstable lives. They've been never told, like some people in our community have never been told, I love you. They've been told you're ugly. They've never been invested in. They have never seen a model of a real human. And the only human that perhaps many of them have ever seen was their grandparent, who was more Southern and Christian in their behavior than anything else. But after that generation of Southern Christians, we got all of these other types. So I could see how the reality of Muhammad, praise and peace be upon him, this man who never told a lie, who never stole, who was gentle, who was caring, who was loving, that's really what they need. Because they're in a state of jahiliyyah. And just like the Jahili Arabs, they were able to see the prophet not upon the basis of argument. They weren't theologians. That wasn't even their way. The theological arguments are primarily lobbied at the Jews and Christians in the Quran. But the testimony that they could stand upon was the character, the nature, the value of the human person, Muhammad, that they knew. And I feel that today that is the best way to really reach our people. It's not that we don't teach them. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying what to draw them in and to hold them. Because like a baby starts in this world, and the baby begins in this world by being fed by his mother, held by his mother, protected by his mother, feeling a sense of security. That's what most of our people are still in that state. When they come into the community, they need that more than anything else. And just like as the child matures, now you can begin to impart to them lessons and instruction. I would say the same thing is true for the people in our communities. So we need scholars, yes, but we need scholars who are also sensitive to the needs of their people. We need scholars who are independent thinking, and they are free in their own mind, because no one's holding them back from developing our own methodology to address our traumas, to address our areas of healing, so on and so forth. I say what I said in the previous question that you asked. That will gain us respect on its own. So we don't need anyone else to validate us and say, who's going to give us a plaque or a degree and say, oh yeah, you're a Muslim now. You see what I'm saying? Who going to do? Who qualifies to do that? Allah brought us into this. You didn't do anything. So That's the spirit that we should have. That's the direction that we could take, that we should take, pardon me. And we should be moving forth as a community with full faith that our Lord, Allah, highly glorified as He is with us for this great job. But we have to think on our own. And there's a lot to be said about that. I'm not going to go in for the sake of time. I'll keep it short. But there's a lot to be said about that in terms of God being with us and Allah being our guide on this path.
How did we go from this to this?
Hollywood likes you a certain way. They like you a certain way. They have Hollywood's interesting. They like you a certain way.
Our family separated. It's fine. It's perfect.
Nobody panics.
I introduced the black father to this country, and I risk my job by saying I won't do it unless you give me a husband for my children.
The man staying with his family and raising his kids and pouring into his woman. That's the threat.
Well, then everyone loses their minds.
So you don't like people of color blaming white people for past racial issues. Why do you think they do?
Control their history, control their images. Then you won't have to watch it. Whoever controls the mind will also control the body.
There is an alpha white male in almost every TV show, commercial, ever.
The Black Panthers scared people.
Anytime the black man attempts to change the slave image, he will scare white people.
Let's go to the roots of where I believe this anti-black propaganda started.
History repeats itself, but in such cunning disguise that we never detect the resemblance until the damage is done.
He asked you how far it was from the sun to the moon?
Yeah, that's what the man asked me.
Well, what'd you tell him?
I told him if he was going to give me that route, I didn't want to jump.
Well, tell me. Come on, come on, come on, carry me home. Oh,
now then, I like those pig feets. I enjoy them, and I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for those many, many fine pig footses.
Minstrel shows were created to entertain white audiences by portraying blacks as savages, Jezebels, and uneducated buffoons. To them, black dysfunction was their entertainment, joy, and comfort. They did this because they hated seeing this. Black people with ambition, drive, aspirations, and achievement. Black folks basically refusing to accept their subjugation. After decades of American trauma, guardrailing, and propaganda, has minstrel shows' depiction of black people become a self-fulfilling prophecy? How did we go from this to this? How did we go from aspiring to excellence to glorifying degrading behavior? This type of transition doesn't just happen overnight. Whose narrative is being promoted and propagandized to the masses?
We of the Negro race are suffering more than any other race in the world from propaganda. Propaganda is to destroy our hopes, our ambitions, and confidence in self. Propaganda has done more to defeat the good intentions of races and nations than even open warfare.
Let me take a few minutes to break down America's narrative guardrailing and propaganda reinforcement. The main objective when it comes to these white institutions of control and influence is to attack the black family.
Michael Evans and writer Eric Monty began to develop Monty's The Black Family script, but they soon reached a creative impasse.
One note that I got every meeting was, you got to get rid of the father. A strong black man is not funny in a sitcom. And I was in the no, we got to have the father.
The actress agreed to star in The Black Family under one condition. The father had to stay in the script.
I introduced the black father to this country. There never had been one in the whole of the country. And I risk my job by saying I won't do it unless you give me a husband for my children.
Our family separated. It's fine. It's perfect.
Nobody panics. Because it's all part of the plan.
The man staying with his family and raising his kids and pouring into his woman, that's the threat.
Well, then everyone loses their minds.
Who needs blackface when you can simply hire a black person to do the job for you? Are we really in control of the narrative? What do I mean? Is Black America rewarding, promoting, and ultimately reinforcing the behaviors that we want to see? Or is our enemy promoting a narrative that they want to see?
But we do have black people that get on the radio every day in white-owned companies, white-owned stations with white-owned sponsors that play the role of hypersexualized, hypercriminalized male. I ask these advertisers, I say, I've got hundreds of songs a day that celebrate killing animals. Will you put them on your station? They said, no. I got hundreds of songs a day that talk about assaulting women and abusing kids. Would you put them on your station? They said, no. I said, I got hundreds of songs a day that talk about murdering blacks. Would you put them on your stations? They said, well, that depends. Depends on what? Who it's done by and who it's branded for. Because if we can get black folks to sing about it and we can brand it for our youngest black audiences, I think there's money to be made. I think there's American appetites to see these people that way.
Images control self-esteem. Abraham Lincoln found out very early, when you have 300 slaves on a plantation and one master, it takes a lot of work. Why don't you let them go? But don't teach them who they are. Control their history. Control their images. Then you won't have to watch it. Whoever controls the mind will also control the body.
The modern-day matriarchal subculture that we see in Black America today is not our own. It is the end result of being in proximity to our 400-year-old enemy. The toxic black culture you see here is how our enemy has always envisioned us. It's a modern-day minstrel show. It just took a few centuries, countless destroyed communities, and discriminatory guardrailing for black folks to catch up. Authentic black culture happened when black folks were in complete control of their destiny. It's only when a group owns the theaters, institutions, and the businesses in their community does one control the narrative. Unfortunately, our ability to control the narrative was snuffed out by terrorists, which left us vulnerable to those who controlled all aspects of power and influence.
They had the nerve, the audacity to let.
So you touched on just briefly white supremacy in your last segment. A lot of people argue that in order for us to make progress, we have to fight white supremacy. Do you think that's true? And if so, how do we do it?
Well, I think that first we have to define terms. What is white supremacy? You know, in the Quran, the children of Israel were, and this is Bible too, they were under Pharaoh, Fir'aun. But Musa, or Moses, upon him be peace, led them to freedom. But when they were in the desert, all they could do was give Moses a hard time, and they were asking him for things, or they were wanting things that they had got in Egypt. We want the pot herbs and the garlic and the lentils and the cucumbers, etc. We want onions. He said, go to any. They translated go to any city. Ihbitu Misra. But Misra is Egypt. In Bible is Mizraim. So it's saying that their appetite was for what they got in Egypt. When Moses went up the mountain, and in the absence of Moses, the Quran absolves Aaron from this. But the Bible has it that Aaron did it, which is make the golden calf. But the calf was made in Bible from the golden earrings that they got from the Egyptians. In Quran from the jewelry that they got from the Egyptians. So when they crossed the sea, as soon as they crossed the sea, they saw people worshiping false gods. They said, oh, Moses, make us gods like they have. So the Quran is telling us something very profound, that the oppressor can be external to you and internal. The oppressor could come from the outside, and you could be an oppressor of your own selves. So I think that when we look at white supremacy, we have to first define it in the proper light. So my grandmother, I've shared this story before. No, pardon me. My great-grandmother, she passed away because she bled out giving birth upon the kitchen table because there were no hospitals to take her in. That's a form of white supremacy that existed in that day. Today, that's not common. We do, like they'll say, well, black women pass away more than white women in birth and prenatal care. They don't get it as much. The problem with that statistic is that Latino women and Asian women have a better conditions in terms of staying alive than black women and white women, and they get very little prenatal care. So there's some detail there, pre and postnatal care. I'm not denying the presence of racism, but what that does lead me to believe that there are other factors at play. My grandfather, for example, said that he wanted to be an electrician, but in the time he could not. He could only be a TV repairman. At that time, electrician work connected to television. You know this a long time ago. Black men could only be TV repairmen, but white men could be TV repairmen and electrician, like industrial, residential, just working on houses, etc. That's real. That's a form of racism that we don't have today. One of the first persons that I took a job under was a young man who had got his electrician's license in Illinois, and he did pretty well for himself, black guy. So I'm saying that to say that in other words, to put it very succinctly, the racism and the white supremacy of 100 years ago was not the same as it is today. Okay? Now, does it still exist? There's been enough study about home loans, about the educational system and how it's structured, so on and so forth, to support an argument that the structures that are in place still tip the scales against our favor as a community in various areas. I just named two. The question becomes, how do we fight it? How do we combat it? And to be honest with you, I think there are 5 ways. 5 ways. And the first is, as a people, we have to connect ourselves with God. We have to be a people who have returned to God, God's will, God's command. If you're a Muslim, live Islam. If you're a Christian, live your Christianity. If you are whatever, live by that tradition correctly, completely. I believe all of our people should check out Islam. I invite all of our people to look at Islam. But if you're not in that mind frame, be whatever it is that you say you are. Be a believer, because without God, nothing is possible for any people. The history of the United States of America, the history of any nation, they've actually written books on this where they have discovered no people have ever risen to any real authority and power until they had a belief in a higher authority, in a set of higher principles that they had to ascend or aspire towards. That's a fact. A lot of our people, we have religion, but our religion is foolishness. It's entertainment. It's not a real life governed by the principles of religion. Number 2, after our return to God, is return to family. Adam began on this earth as a husband. His wife Eve, Adam and Eve, our life on this earth begins with family. And Allah tells us in the Quran that family is first. It has first rights in the book of God. And we know that without family, look at the statistics. Look at our community. 70+% of children born in homes that are not whole. There's a single parent there. So we are robbing ourselves of the basic equipment needed to make serious progress. No society has ever risen in the history of the world without family life being intact. And no people ever survive without their family lives being whole. And what I mean about coming back to family, we as a people, because look, I can't govern the devil. I can't govern Pharaoh. Moses couldn't change Pharaoh's mind if he was Pharaoh. But he could give the guidance to his people. So come to God. That's what I can tell other blacks. Okay, Pharaoh exists, but are you serving God? Pharaoh exists, but are you having sex outside of wedlock? Are you shacking up with women? Are you having babies with women? Look at these popular African Americans. I think I just saw Lil Boosie, and I am judging. What is it? He has like 9 children by 8 women. Cam Newton, popular podcast. He has 8 babies. Ain't married. He's not married to nobody. We know about Nick Cannon. The one rapper that was here in Atlanta who died, Shorty Low, he was going to come out with a show, All My Baby Mamas. He had like 11 children. We celebrate this. We celebrate family dysfunction. We celebrate the baby. Baby Mama was a song by 3 6 Mafia, My Baby Mama. And then there was another, but before that, it was Baby Daddy. I forget who made that song. That was in the 90s. That's just my baby daddy. We made that dysfunction. We made the dysfunction acceptable. So we've turned our back because the out of wedlock has everything to do with sexual morality. You see? So that's the second thing. Return to God, return to family. Returning to God, returning to family. I would also say we have to become a people who are willing to give. Get away from selfishness. You know, the reason why Jews, the reason why many Asians like Indians, Chinese, why they're able to make West Indians and East Indians. The reason why Nigerians, Ghanaians, why they're able to make so much progress for their life when they come to America is because they have a set of cultural strategies that's their own, that they follow, that they implement when they're here. So, for example, I read how the Koreans, for example, many Koreans, they will all live in one house and they will all get menial jobs and they will all put their dollars towards one member starting his own business. And then basically they'll just replicate that process over and over and over until everyone has their own business. I've heard that for Indians, for people, Indians, Pakistanis, etc. It's not a thing. In the black community, you know, my parents used to say this. You know how black parents are. Once you get 18, you need a job or you need to go to school. You need to start paying rent. That's poor people thinking. Everybody needs to have a job. We want to get a car when we're young. I had a friend, when we were 19, 20, he wanted a car. And now he has to work full time at Walmart just to pay his car note. We're following the ways of the world. We spent our whole time here chasing what we think white people do. They move to the suburb, we move to the suburb. They move back into the city, now we want the city back. Anything a white person do, we think so the Caucasian population has been our model. But we're a separate group. We're not them. We can't do what they do. So I don't prefer my children to move out, for example. When my children get to be 18, I do prefer for them to go to school. I prefer for my young boys, if they're going to work, save your money and start a business. Wash some cars, cut some grass, save your money. If they want to get married, you all can live here, get you a degree, and do not get a bachelor's degree in, like I mentioned this before, don't get a bachelor's degree in sewing. You know, get a master's degree in tech, something that the world wants. You know what I'm saying? You could pursue, but I want to be I want a degree in art. You know, that's fine, but you got to make sure that it's something that you could really use for the advance of your life. So I would say that the willingness to sacrifice, that's what I'm really getting at. The willingness to sacrifice and the willingness to really be charitable. That's what I was really getting at. Charitable. Sacrifice is another thing, but being charitable is really what I'm getting at. The reason why I say it like that is because a lot of our people have achieved and we have a lot of success in our community, but what we need is people showing us the road to success. We don't have enough of us giving to one another. Those who know have to be conscious about helping those who don't know. One of the big challenges that we have in our communities is just a lack of knowledge. It's not that we don't have a lack of skills and resources. We have a lack of knowledge. And there needs to be persons informing us. And I've criticized even people like that you see in the popular media. They get popular and they tell us how bad America is. But they're sitting there as a commentator on MSNBC. Why don't you tell me how you got there? Okay, you told me that 50 times how horrible this society was. Tell me how you made it to where you are. You get what I'm saying? So charitableness. The other thing that I would say is that this is the last thing. White supremacy has really warped our thinking, to be honest. The white man told us we were nothing for so long. We sort of have this unconscious urge to prove that we're somebody. We're trying to prove ourselves to him all the time. So when we think about our life, we often compare ourselves to him. And I kind of mentioned this a moment ago. And we kind of overemphasize how black we are. But the reality is the white man who put us down because of our skin color, he was a savage. He was a heathen. He was not a real human. We should first see ourselves as members of the human family. And this is where I part ways with black nationalism. Black nationalism says we are black or we are African first. That's not true. We're human first. As Imam Muhammad used to say, no baby, Chinese, Caucasian, otherwise, they don't come crying in Chinese. They don't laugh or smile in Chinese. They speak the same language of the baby. And if you take that innocent child and you take that child from China and you raise it in Ghana, that baby in his sensitivities and in his ways will be a Ghanaian child. So our humanity is first. What the white supremacists did to us was deny us our humanity. When they told us our big noses were ugly and our nappy head, those are our human features. They're black. They're part of what's being black, but these are future. Everybody has a nose. Everybody has hair. Everybody has a skin color. So all humans share in these features. They were telling us that our features are ugly. Our features are to be rejected. Our features are not as beautiful as their features. So they were denying us acceptance amongst the family of human beings. If that makes sense, it's a distinction that we really have to make, because if you see yourself as a member of the human family, then you can see the white supremacist, as I said, as a primitive savage. And if you could see him as a primitive savage, you're not living your life trying to prove yourself to him. You're trying to establish your life as in human dignity, worth, and value. So I think that we have to come into that type of recognition. And again, for me, Islam sensitizes us to these facts. We have our 5 pillars. It starts with the oneness of God. We pray to that God. We conform our whole life to that God. And the first thing that we have to do in conforming our life to God, which prayer represents or it signifies, is building up our families. We pay zakat, which is giving. Those who have, give to those who don't have. Fasting in the month of Ramadan, one of the principal values is sacrifice and giving for the benefit of others. The last of our pillars is Hajj. When you go to the Hajj, Malcolm is popular for this, you see practically everything but a green person walking down the street. You have those. I didn't realize some of those Asians, they're so small. It's a whole it's 100 of them. They all come up to your chest, my chest at least. These are so every shape, size. White people as pale as snow, black people as black as the night. You see the whole range of humanity. Black as the night with straight hair, white with curly hair. So you see on the Hajj, you see yourself, you become matured in your perception of your humanity. Now, with that mature perception of your humanity, you can go back among your black people and lift them up. So I think that this is how we really fight white supremacy. And I think that if you get what I'm saying, the fight, the major battlefield of the fight is internal more than it is external.
Black folks suffer for 460 years, and at the end of the civil rights movement, rather than going back and saying, let's find out what has happened to black folk for 460 years, have they been psychologically, emotionally, politically, educationally damaged? Nobody spent 1 minute of time trying to figure out what had happened to black folk over all that period of time. So in the course of the civil rights movement, at the end of it, they say, well, let's pretend that nothing has happened to them, that they were not injured, they were not hurt. And now let's go seek integration and pretend that we're all equal. Now that was grossly unfair, because by that point in time, and by the 1966 period, whites had become economic giants in America. They owned and controlled everything at that point in time. Black folk didn't own anything. Whites controlled almost 100% of all the wealth, the income, the privileges, the businesses, the resources, and all levels of government. Blacks had nothing. Blacks were 1-foot midgets. And they allowed us then to use integration to walk from our communities, from our ghettos, over in their communities, totally disarmed, not understanding anything, blind, naked, and then saying that you can go and compete. Compete with what?
America has made it their mission to reward behaviors that they want to see. Every white-owned system of control operates on the same anti-black thinking. Being in this system for so long, even black folks have been conditioned into thinking and acting like white supremacists. It's not hard to believe when you study white America's actions, history, and how the safe spaces that we once created for ourselves were ultimately co-opted or destroyed by the very same white supremacist system. Let me make this crystal clear. Don't expect America to promote you in a good light. They haven't used their media influence and power to promote black nuclear family structures, positive masculine and feminine principles, as well as black folks with morals, self-respect, and dignity. No, They use their media to reinforce broken black families, toxic black relationships, and ultimately, black folks who are unable to challenge their white dominance. There's a certain standard they are trying to maintain. Trust and believe they know how to promote themselves in all aspects of power, influence, and control. They don't deny themselves the positive reinforcement that maintains white families, relationships, and communities.
Well, for blacks and whites, it's completely different. There is an alpha white male in almost every TV show, commercial, ever. Action, movie. There's alpha white males every place. But it's not so for black people. We are relegated to more character. The guys who are like me, all you can hope for is, being Queen Latifah or somebody else's date that day.
Right.
On living single or whatever. That's all the more attractive or alpha males. That's all we could do.
Right.
That's all that was written for us.
Or the prison roles.
I'm the most feared man in Hollywood. They don't like me in Hollywood.
Why do they not like you in Hollywood?
I don't wear dresses. I don't do that gay stuff on TV. You had to get some other black person to do that stuff. I'm talking, that's gunning. But they all confess they love the Lord. But you cannot compromise yourself if you love the Lord. I play tough guys, but young kids want to be soldiers. Young kids don't want to follow a guy to wear a dress. Yeah.
The objectification and degradation of black women is marketing at its finest. These media companies are owned by white executives who spend millions of dollars and
in a speech made right here in New York, Farrakhan bought the story of the curse and said, and I've got it on tape, I got it in video, and I got it on audio, that people with dark skin and woolly hair, a certain kind of nose, was cursed. And that the texture of your hair and the texture of your eyebrows supposed to be the same.
So Shabazz was not permitted to stay in that area, so he took his family into the jungle of East Asia, which we now call Africa, to make a people close to nature. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, this is the origin of kinky hair. Because we didn't have kinky hair prior to that. The hair on our head was like the hair on our eyebrows. The hair on your eyebrows straight, the hair on your head is not the same as the hair on your eyebrow. But the hair of every other people is the same as their eyebrow. Your eyebrow straight, your hair something different. Wouldn't you like the hair on your head to be as straight as the hair on your eyebrow? That's why you're so busy frying it. That's why you're so busy pulling it. Because your nature tells you that the kink I mean, with I'm black and I'm proud, we got to learn to be proud of kinks. Because most of your family of other black people on the earth, jet black. They didn't have no broad nose and thick lips and kinky hair. They were dark-skinned people, jet black. But they had straight hair, a thinner lip, a thinner nose. But we are marked as a different kind of black person. And we were rejected and despised, not only from the circle of the gods, but we were despised and rejected by all the other dark people of the earth. This is why today black people with kinky hair and broad nose and thick lips are rejected in every society. I want you to hear me well tonight. Yes, sir. Why are we rejected? Because the essence of beauty is in obedience and submission to God. And the essence of ugliness is when you rebel against God. And when you rebel against God, in your rebellion, you are marked with a certain mark of your rebellion, which is the disfigurement of your internal self, which manifests in the disfigurement of your external self. And this is why when you look at our people, wherever we are found on the earth, you find us either disfiguring ourselves physically because we are disfigured on the inside because of rebellion.
He's saying with his high yellow self that he is pretty and blessed by God. And you're buying it, applauding it, and following after this God man. And you would follow him to Washington. It was an achievement. An achievement for who?
Trying a long, long time, still I can't make it. Everything I try to do seems to go wrong. It seems I have done something wrong, while they're trying to keep me down. Oh, God bless, no one curse. Thank God I'm not the worst. Better must come one day. Better must come. They can't conquer me. Better must come, yeah. I've been trying a long, long time, but I can't make it. No one to keep me in helping hand. They only trying to keep me down. Oh, God bless, no one curse. Thank God I'm not the worst. Oh, my people get it. They try to take advantage of me. Better must come. Better must come, yeah.
Who taught you, please? Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking who taught you, please? Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself who taught you to hate being what God gave you.
I'm going, I'm going home. I'm going, I'm going, I'm going home.
Greetings. We're there with you and we're gone. We have lot of work to do, lot of reasoning to reason, and lot of appreciation. For if we don't appreciate ourselves, reason respectfully among ourselves, we won't achieve the goals that we need to achieve. We are talented. We are also influential. And we're honest when we but think about it. We have to think. And we have to develop trust, intellectual trust, vibrant trust, and do things so we can see what we have done in terms of developing things. We are living in the diaspora and we are governed by that structure within the diaspora. So we should stop pretending that we have some form of influence of the institutions of governments. We don't. What we understand from it, we should incorporate within ourselves, among ourselves. The best of that which them call democracy, we should implant that among ourselves. See? So we counter with direction for ourselves. You see them elephants there? They have culture. They have a lifestyle, which is their culture. And them roam environments or habitat that is conducive to they feeding and resting and also safety. It is us, the human beings, especially the Europeans, that look at their tusks and see wealth. So they will go there and shoot them to take the toss. Understand what I just said and realize that's the same behavior that them have towards us. Same behavior. But we spend time letting them understand that we're observing them to the fullest and we appreciate them at the same time. So it's racism in reverse. It's negativity in reverse. Because the length of time that we take doing that, we do nothing for ourselves and we don't appreciate ourselves when we do, because we argue about how much we think we know, how much we think we comprehend, and what the president and his administration and everybody is doing. If we were that wise, how is it that we ain't organizing or haven't organized ourselves? We're playing games. We're playing games. We want to stop playing them games there. You understand? Develop trust among ourselves. And economically, you have that. We have that. Creativity, we have that. We have it. You understand? And our communities, our areas will be shining. And we would have the pessimists. Trust me, the pessimists will be there. But we don't have no time to spend with that. And then they will see the good works that's being done. And they will come, they will play their part. But some of them will come think so that there's something happening that them can go and tell the services about. So we don't have to worry about them because there will be nothing happening that is illegal. So we don't have to worry about that, about them type of people. And them will get arrested. And them will get their water low. Because we are dealing with humanity, we are dealing with ourselves. We're dealing with everything up, full, and right. So we would have them two type of people, which is really one, the pessimist and the informer. The one that will go to the master and try to tell the master that them understand what we are doing. You understand? And that's good. But when them try to put illegal things and racket, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're building for ourselves and our children futures. That's what we'll be doing. But any of us that don't want to do that, then you must move out of the way. And then Africa, you must see Africa, to travel to Africa and develop relationships with like-minded people, which there are millions. Millions. The resources that we would need, those of us who want to stay in the diaspora, is there. And the resources that they have, that they're not using effectively, we know how. So the trade would be so, listen, you're not thinking, man. Not thinking. The understanding of those of us who work in certain departments is required. Our vision is required. Our creativity is required. Our sincerity is required. Not people who have the skills and the talent and their creativity and their honesty stinks. We don't need them type of people in Africa. We have too much of them already. But if you can just see the trade-off and the excellence of that, then you're doing something. But if you travel there and you see, you sit to yourself, wait a minute, what's all these Europeans doing here? doing there? That's because you're not coming. And now you're talking such bad things about us and you don't know nothing about us. You're assuming. And Africa is huge. Stop saying you're not East African, you're West African. We're Africans, man. We're Africans. Right? And our tribes do not cause the conflict that those brothers are reading about by Orientalists and evangelists and all these people. And we're not hugged down with black and more black. Why should we? You lot don't get it, man. You lot don't get it. You want to paint yourselves some color and then turn around and say that you're that and you're not part of that. You know how ignorant that is for the Caucasians to listen to? They're laughing at you all. It's ignorance. It's ignorance. What happens if you come to Uganda and you come to Sudan and these places and you see actual black? And you see black skin, dark skin, like tar. What would you all do then? And what would you say? Just go on Google and look for Sudan playing the US before the Olympics and then ask yourselves, how come they turn up on the camera? Why was all the networks able to televise them? How come they didn't black out themselves? Black out themselves? You understand? Seriously. You're behind, man. Trust me. And you make yourselves sound stupid, especially on the multimedia platforms, talking about this one said they're black, that one said they're not black, and everything. Nonsense. So recognize that we're valuable and important people. Don't go, what do I call it? Don't go down that hole, crab in a barrel, and everything. No, don't do that. Don't do that. You're setting us back. You're setting us back. Seriously. But get your passport then and visit Africa for an intellectual visit and research. You all owe it to yourselves. If you're really serious about being a Pan-African and being an African-American, and serious about the remembrance of our ancestors that were kidnapped and brought into the diasporas. Right? So we say again, things and time, cultural expression, guidance, we're gone. Ramadan is around the corner, and we have a blessed date as of tomorrow in this month, and we're closing in on Ramadan, so we have a lot of work to do with ourselves, our families, and brothers and sisters, and anybody that we have offended or anything that we have outstanding. We have to clear those things up before Ramadan. You understand? We are very organized people, the ones we call ourselves. You understand? There you go. So, respect. Yo, Buddha, I hear your voice. And you not sound different. You not sound different. You don't, yo, you're not, hey, stuff for Lord. You not sound different, man. It's just that you not come on Q panel and everything. You're there on Psycho channel. But it's good hearing you still, you know. You look like you never go country. And I don't know, man. You sound the same. So it could be the environment that you've come back within, and your spirit is hooked to that environment. That's how they act and react and behave. And I hope that's not what it is that you're under, man. Seriously. You've been away for a good time, so you should have a change up. But good to hear the high voice, you know, Buddha. So take this one to your chest. Ice water can't make it digest. Give thanks, we're gone. Things in time, cultural expression, out.
Inside